This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The people on the black side were stunned. Che Shuyao felt the killing intent and said angrily, "Humph. You're trying to confuse us. Do you think we're 3-year-old kids?" Feng Yi's brows were tightly furrowed, and he fell into deep thought. Li's eyes lit up as he gave Yunxiao a look. A strange light flashed in his eyes as he said, "This game is indeed the brilliance of earth and fire. It is a game of light and darkness, but it is only a corner of the entire heaven and earth chess game. I will use 73 of it. What do you think?" Like Che Shuyao, the white chess team thought that it was Yunxiao's trick to create chaos, but after hearing Li's words, they were stunned. Zhang Xiaotian was even more exasperated as he roared, "Li Yunxiao. What's going on with you?" "It's all right," Yunxiao said with a faint smile. "I just want to see how they can get there. This chess game contains the ultimate truth of heaven and earth. The universe changes. If you can solve it, it will be of great benefit to your understanding of heaven and earth." Zhang Xiaoyan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He almost roared, "I don't want great benefits, just kill them quickly." Yunxiao made a stop gesture and said with a smile, "Let's take a look first." The white team was dizzy. Even under such circumstances, he was still in the mood to play. Even the people from the Temple of Holy Fire wanted to rush up and beat him up, not to mention the 2 soul devourers. They swore in their hearts that they would skin Yunxiao alive when they got out of here. Yunxiao's carefreeness made Hazy's side's hearts sink. Since the other party dared to tell him about the changes in the chess game, it was obvious that they had great confidence that they could defeat him. Each of their faces was extremely gloomy and ugly. 73% is indeed good, but it can't completely resolve the changes brought by the earth fire, Feng Yi said. If we can't reverse the situation with one move, we'll be in a passive position when he makes another move. Li's forehead was almost twisted into a knot. She also understood what Feng Yi's words meant, but the situation formed by the opponent's piece was a small game in the big game. If one looked carefully, a new game would be derived from the big game. There were layers of changes and endless changes. It was already very difficult to keep from being obliterated, not to mention turning defeat into victory. Feng Yi pondered for a moment and said, "Back then, the king-level martial sovereign left a prologue. Have you all heard of the phrase, heart like spider silk wandering in the sky, body like armor turning into a withered branch?" Li was stunned. She had no idea who a king-level martial sovereign was. However, when she heard this, she felt that it was extremely profound and mysterious, as if it had pointed out some key point. However, he could not grasp it for a moment, and his heart was a little itchy and anxious. Tang Jia only felt a flash of inspiration in his mind as he said happily, "Yes, there is such a sentence." Then the next move should be to shed his cocoon and become a silkworm to resolve this situation. The best position should be 9 out of 9. Not bad. Feng Yi's eyes revealed a sharp glint as he said with a murderous aura, "I don't believe that with the combined wisdom of the 3 of us, we can't defeat this little brat. 9 out of 9 vanish." He shouted as he pointed his finger. As the black chess piece landed, the predicament caused by the earthly fire bright brilliance was immediately dissolved. The entire situation became a new one. It was as if a brand new situation had appeared in the battle between the black and white chess pieces, and countless changes were derived once again. Feng Yi's face revealed a proud expression. He was a grandmaster of arrays, and after he pressed the stone, he immediately regained the demeanor and bearing of a grandmaster. He proudly said, "You are Li Yunxiao, right? I'll remember this name, but it's a pity that you're going to die here today." The expressions of the white chess pieces changed drastically, as if they had sensed that the situation was not good. All of them became nervous. Zhang Xiaotian's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out. His head was swollen with anger as he roared at Yunxiao, "If you die here today, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost." Yunxiao ignored Zhang Xiaotian's roar, but smiled at Feng Yi and said, Grandmaster Feng, you only managed to escape a calamity under my guidance. How did you become so pretentious? I don't like the way you're acting. It's better to keep a low profile. He raised his hand, and a star condensed in the air. He muttered to himself, should the next step be the wind is stronger, or the whole fire heaven is stronger? His face revealed a look of hesitation. When the people from Feiyang heard this, they were all shocked. Looking at the stars in the sky, they quickly deduced the situation of a great swamp and strong wind and a great fire in their minds. The more they thought about it, the more shocked they became. Forget it. No matter where I go, I can only play with you guys. It's of no use to break the entire chess game. I'll just use the heavenly lightning and earthly fire and directly kill you guys. The dispirited look on Yunxiao's face made everyone want to vomit blood. 15 out of 7 cross. A hint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. The stars condensed and fell onto the grid line. The entire chess game began to change when the white piece streaked across the sky. It stacked layer by layer, and the deduction was endless. Boom, boom, boom. That piece was fixed on the 15th position of the 7th, and the entire space trembled with it. A killing intent that seemed to have substance was born in the array, crazily surging towards Hazy and the other 10 people, wanting to devour everything. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire. What a strong killing trap. Even the 9 heavens martial sovereigns of Feiyang felt a chill down their spine and cried out in horror, what do we do? What's our next step? The killing intent came too quickly, and the endless changes in the chess game overwhelmed him. His mind was almost muddled. Tang Jie gasped and said in a panic, how about 6 out of 7? It can dissolve the power of that step. Feiyang shook his head. No, the loophole is too big. If he puts one more stone in the town, we'll be completely dead. Tang Jie's body was attacked by the killing intent. His whole body shivered and he said, if that swan and I still doesn't leave, he'll really die. Li's eyes were also filled with shock as he said, 70 to 90 is still a dead end. What's going on? Is there no way to break it? Feiyang patted his head continuously as he racked his brains and said, what's going on? Don't tell me that I, a grandmaster of arrays, can't beat a young kid? How could he break out of this trap of heavenly lightning and earthly fire? How do we break it? He quickly thought through all the chess games in his mind, but he couldn't find any way to break them. Pfft. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes revealed a look of despair and dejection. At this moment, his entire spirit suddenly withered, as if someone had sucked him dry. It wasn't just the killing intent from the chess game, but also the frustration of being defeated. The other party's age and calm appearance showed that there was a huge gap between the two of them in the field of arrays, which was difficult for him, a famous array master, to accept. I can't take it anymore, I'm going to die soon. You bunch of trash, just walk around, I'm really going to die. Yuan Sun suddenly let out a wild cry. His cultivation base was above Tang Jie's, but after his blood essence was extracted by Yu, he was still seriously injured. He couldn't resist the killing intent that was pouring into his body, and it felt like he was going to be annihilated at any moment. He roared and pointed his finger at the sky, saying, fall, break for me. Don't. Li and Tang Jie screamed in horror at the same time as they looked at the stars in the sky. It was too late. As Yuan Sun's finger pointed down, the star directly turned into a black chess piece and fell from the sky, crashing down on the grid lines. Yunxiao's face flickered. He seemed to have seen where the chess piece was placed, and a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. At that moment, countless chess games began to play out in his mind. That's... Li looked at the landing point in shock. He seemed to have noticed something and was shocked. In that position, where the chess piece was placed, all deductions became invalid. The changes in the chess game seemed to have reached the end, and the future could not be seen at all. Boom, boom, boom. The black chess piece fell into it, and the entire space trembled. At this moment, all the chess pieces emitted a green light, as if they were responding to the black chess piece. Green light also appeared on the bodies of the 20 people. They could feel the power in the chess game. It seemed to be connected to an infinite distance, an infinite time, and it penetrated the heaven and earth. This chess piece is lacking in both fire and water. Yunxiao's eyes were filled with shock as he stared at the black chess piece, unable to calm down for a long time. Not only him, but Li, Tangjia, and Feng Yi were also completely stunned. The entire space of the chessboard underwent a huge change again at this moment. The star chess pieces gradually disappeared, and they appeared in the same way that they did when they appeared, deducing the entire chess game from the back to the front. They could feel the power of the formation. It was as if they could see the distant past and the endless future. Time and space seemed to shrink into a node at this moment. It had been fixed since ancient times and would never change. Tang Jia swallowed his saliva and licked his dry lips. He muttered to himself, "The Kasaya is broken just like that? So this is how the entire heaven and earth chess game evolved. It's so incredible." At this moment, the entire three-dimensional chess game space that spanned across the universe continued to degenerate and disappear at this moment. Along with it, endless power also disappeared. The entire world turned pitch black once again, and there was no longer any light. Everyone was still immersed in the evolution of the array Dao, and it took a long time for them to come back to their senses, as if they had all benefited a lot. Has the broken Kasaya been broken? I actually broke the heaven and earth chessboard? Yuan Sun was the first to react. He himself was completely dumbfounded. He was completely clueless about the Dao of formations. Earlier, he had only felt the aura of death and was making a last-ditch struggle, not willing to wait for death. He didn't expect that he would actually falter. Sheng laughed out loud, as expected of a human who possesses the power of my monster race's mother. It seems that keeping you is really useful. Phew, are we finally safe? Che Shuyao heaved a sigh of relief. He realized that he was sticky all over. He was so nervous that he broke out in a cold sweat. He felt uncomfortable. As the infinite chess game space disappeared, everyone's suppressed power gradually recovered. A cold gleam flickered in the fiend's eyes as he stared at the three people in the field: Yunxiao, Tangjia, and Li. The four of them had seen the solution to the heaven and earth chess game just now, and this chess game was related to the array Dao inheritance of a martial sovereign on the throne. Even as a martial sovereign, he could not help but be tempted. Tang Jia felt the killing intent in Feng Yi's eyes and immediately took a deep breath. He retreated with a cold body and said, "Lord Fief, I'll definitely forget about the deduction of the formation just now. I hope that you can spare my life." He felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. The other party was a revered martial emperor. If he really wanted to kill him, no one present would be able to protect him. Che Shuyao seemed to have understood something as well. A cruel smile appeared on his face and he said, "Brother Feng, do you want to release or kill these scums? Who will be released and who will be killed? Give me an answer." Everyone's heart sank when they heard this, and their faces turned ugly. With the power of these two, no one present could escape. Suddenly, Yu performed an incantation gesture with one hand, and the tail light sword in Yunxiao's hand flew out, turning into a white light and flying back into his hand. The tail light sword was full of chips of various sizes, which were the result of the fight with him earlier. At that time, he did not think much of it, but now, he felt a heartache as he stared at Yunxiao with anger in his eyes. 9th tier profound armament? Che Shuyao was shocked. He looked at the tail light sword in Yu's hand and the vermilion bird saber. The fluctuations of the weapon rhythm from the two profound level weapons made him hold his breath. Although he was a martial supreme, he didn't have a 9th tier profound armament. Now that he had seen two at once, a look of shock and ecstasy immediately appeared on his face as he laughed. The heavens are helping me. Brother Feng, your 5 elements beast taming ring hasn't been refined yet, and I'm going to get 2 9th tier profound armaments first. I've worn out my iron shoes in a long search, but I found it without any effort. Che Shuyao's eyes were filled with desire as he stared at the two weapons in Yu's hands. Tang Jia hurriedly said, "My lords, that red vermilion bird saber is my weapon. Take it as a meeting gift to you." Please spare my life. The Four Extremes sect will definitely thank you in the future. We can't let this brat from the Four Extremes sect live, Xiao said coldly. If he gets out alive, the Four Extremes sect will come after us. Tang Jie's face turned pale. I won't. I swear to the heavens that I won't hold a grudge against you for what happened today. Please show mercy. I do admire you. How about this, I'll spare your life. Feng Yi sighed. Tang Jia was overjoyed, as if he had found a life-saving straw. He hurriedly thanked him, thank you. Thank you for your mercy. Tang Jia will forever be grateful for today's matter and will never repay kindness with resentment. Yes, Feng Yi said. I believe everything you said. But just to be safe, I'm going to scatter your divine sense and intelligence. What? Tang Jia's heart sank to the bottom again. As if he had been played, anger welled up in his heart. He roared, Feng Yi, you've gone too far. Xiao's eyes flashed with contempt and he said sarcastically, don't be so greedy. I'm already giving you face by letting you live in your body. Otherwise, you'll end up like them, completely annihilated. The aura on his body spread out, and the entire space seemed to freeze. Everyone was completely shackled by this force, unable to move at all. The Emperor Qi of the Nine Heavens suppressed everything. Xiao walked towards you step by step, his eyes filled with excitement and said, as expected of one of the 7 great chambers of commerce, rich people are all idiots. This kind of trash cultivation is actually equipped with a 9th-tier profound armament. He grabbed out with his palm, and a huge golden palm condensed in the air and whizzed down, illuminating the entire space with unstoppable momentum. Under this immense pressure, Yu's expression was extremely serious, but his eyes were filled with anger and battle. His body exploded, and blood-red meridians appeared under his skin. He wasn't going to give in to the Emperor Qi of the 9 skies. Clear Sky Sword Technique 11. A shocking sword chi exploded, and the tail light sword flickered with an incandescent sword light, cutting apart the surrounding darkness and slashing towards the giant palm. Although you only had the cultivation of a martial emperor, the power of the tail light sword's full force slash was not weaker than a martial supreme's move. However, the Emperor Qi of the 9 heavens suppressed everything, and Xiao's move contained infinite rules. The moment the 11th sword touched the handprint, it disintegrated. Boom boom boom. The giant handprint annihilated the sword technique and pressed down directly. There was no one who could resist it in the space. Yu's pupils contracted, and ripples appeared around him. He forcefully used his spiritual power to break open the space, turned into a phantom and disappeared. What a strong spiritual fluctuation. Feng Yi's eyes were filled with shock. He had also caught the frequency of the fluctuations, and said in surprise, Xiao, you have to be careful. This kid is a little weird. Do you need my help? You appeared in the space above Xiao and he shouted, Clear Sky Technique. A powerful 9th-tier artifact aura spread out, and the heaven-shaking might of the sword broke through the layers of darkness. It flowed down like mercury, sweeping across the world. Xiao was also shocked, but he quickly sneered and said, Feng Yi? This joke is not funny at all. I'm dealing with a mere martial emperor. Do I need your help? Just stand there and watch. An ant should act like an ant. If you think an ant can bite an elephant to death, then I'll show my might and turn you into a speck of dust in this world. Xiao's cold face looked even colder under the golden light in his hand. A golden power appeared in his palm, spiraling up and erupting with a shocking aura. Soul Break Kill. With a loud roar, he blasted towards the sword ray that was slanting down. It was like a scorching sun rising into the sky, illuminating everything. Just as he attacked, a few figures moved in the light and surrounded Xiao. Their powerful auras rose, and they attacked. Xianhua Axe Turtle Shell. Finger Sword Hong Yuan. Shen Feng also raised his power to the peak. An ice dragon was formed from his cold moon saber and it whizzed forward. The 9-winged spirit snake bird screeched and circled in the air for a while before fiercely charging down. The compressed air around it burned with raging flames, and its eyes revealed its wild nature and ferocity. What? Xiao was shocked by the combined power of the 4 attacks. Each of these 4 powers was not weaker than Yu's sword ray. What's going on with these ants? How could he have such a domineering attack power with such a low cultivation? If it wasn't for the fact that his origin energy level is too low, he might even be on par with a martial supreme. Feng Yi's eyes were also wide open, and he revealed a look of disbelief. 9th tier profound armament. It was actually another 2 9th tier profound armaments. Who are you people? Even the 4 Extremes Chamber of Commerce would not be so generous as to produce 4 9th tier profound armaments at once. Even a martial supreme would go crazy over this. Boom. Yu's Clear Sky Sword 13 was annihilated by Xiao's attack, but the Emperor Qi of the 9th heaven did not lose its momentum. After destroying the sword light, it continued to rush up. Yu was shocked and hurriedly twisted the space, but the surrounding space was already locked by a rule force. There was no way to avoid it, and it was swallowed by the fist light in an instant. Xiao quickly turned around and threw out a few punches with his left hand. The robe on his arm was blown up like butterflies. Every punch was accompanied by ripples, creating a shadow in the surroundings. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 of them had joined hands, but he had actually received it with one hand. Foolish. No matter how many ants there are, they're still ants. The 9 heavens realm is a chasm that you'll never be able to cross. After Xiao's punch landed, his momentum grew and he tore the light ball in front of him apart with his bare hands. Just as he stretched out half of his body, his head was bitten off by a golden shadow that pounced at him. What is it? In his panic, he threw a punch, but the golden shadow bit his arm. In an instant, a chill came from the depths of his soul. Only then did he see that the golden shadow was a ferocious face. A golden soul slave. Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He immediately recognized what this thing was. He shivered in fear and felt his soul slowly leaving his arm. The big mouth that bit his arm was dripping with saliva. It was terrifying. Damn it, you dare to devour my soul? You're beyond redemption. Annihilate. Exterminate. He shouted in horror. His left hand formed a sword finger and pointed out more than a dozen strong winds in the void. They all turned into Emperor Qi of the 9 heavens and pierced through the soul slave with an ear-piercing sound. The soul slave opened its mouth in pain and spat out Xiao's arm. It wailed in the air and ran toward Zhang Xiaotian. The soul slave was connected to its master's mind. After being pierced by the Emperor Qi of the 9 heavens, its golden light was greatly reduced. Zhang Xiaotian also suffered a backlash and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with sharp intent and despair. Although the Soul Devourer clan and the Myriad Stars Valley seemed to coexist peacefully on the surface, they would secretly be in a life-and-death situation as long as there was an opportunity. If these great demons were killed, he would be the next one to die. Otherwise, he would not dare to challenge the martial supremes, might even if there was a slight chance of survival. Soul Devourer clan scum, I'll annihilate you first. Xiao's right hand was in excruciating pain, and it seemed like he couldn't even exert any strength. The golden soul slave bit him and devoured part of his soul. He was in great pain. He didn't care about those great demons and 9th tier profound weapons and directly crossed over in 2 steps. His face was full of malevolence and anger. He wanted to take Zhang Xiaotian's life. Fire like glass scarlet flame. Suddenly, an extremely high heat wave came from the air and passed between him and Zhang Xiaotian. The burning power of the flames made even him, a martial sovereign of the 9 heavens, feel a burst of horror.